everybody. Welcome back to Coworker Calamity, the podcast where we try to make sense of the chaos that comes from being young women who have recently entered the quote-unquote real world. My name is Caroline, and today's episode is titled, It's Not You, It's Me. Once again, I'm joined by my coworker, co-host, and someone not to be messed with, Miss Iza.
Meow, 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 meow. Meow, 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 meow.
We had to do a quick little restart, not because anything went wrong, but because it went right. And we wanted to make sure that we established this.
Quote unquote, I gained thought.
She gained consciousness.
The first recording, there was nothing in there, and now there's a lot in my mind.
But shout out to the people who make those AI cat videos. That's pretty much.
Yeah, we talked about that for way too long. We'll cut that.
Meow, 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 meow. God, it's so good. Anyways. Today's episode is kind of hard to tell, probably by the title, but we kind of wanted it to be that way because today, you guys, we are going to be talking about friendships, friendship breakups, friendship not breakups,
scandals,
yeah, and just everything about and what surrounds that and what we've learned throughout our lives. And, you know, I think in some ways losing a friend or having to break up with a friend is even more tumultuous than a romantic relationship because there's different levels of platonic friendships and what you give to each other versus what's expected from a relationship. So I think when you lose a friendship, it feels more personal in some ways, and maybe that's also dependent on the person that you're no longer around.
Yeah.
But prior to filming this episode, we've been wanting to do this for a minute, or at least I have, because I found the whole topic really interesting, and it's been something I've been working out a lot through my own life and my own experiences. And in therapy, shout out to my therapist. She watches this.
Hello.
She's a real one.
Woo!
Yeah, it's cute audience cheering. And I was writing down some ideas and thoughts about this topic last night and kind of working through some of my own emotions and feelings regarding it. And the first thing I wrote down was a song by Mitchell Tenpenny called Bitches. And the main song, like the song goes, I don't deal with bitches no more.
Ooh.
Yeah, okay, I hit the notes out of that. But it's I don't love country, but it's a banger country song. Like, it's got me doing the
there's
like,
always
shuffle.
There's always a good country song.
Oh, yeah, I mean, there's a few really good ones. It's just not my go-to genre.
Carrie Underwood. I hear you.
I dug that key.
Anyways.
But I thought it was funny. That was the first one. Like, I don't deal with bitches no more. And I guess grew from, like, that first thought into my ideas. But one of the first things I did right after that was this idea of choosing who you spend your time with is not only who you become in some ways, but it's also a direct reflection of how you see yourself within the world, or how you see yourself personally and internally. How true do you feel that is, and do you see that reflected on yourself?
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. So my first thought was no, but then the more I talked about it, I think it 100% is true. You know, if you're secure in who you are and your goals, your aspirations, you'll surround yourself with people who are similar. And time again, you'll always, especially in your younger years, like middle school, high school, and stuff like that, I know personally, I surrounded myself with not the best people. I never stooped low enough to get into the controversies that they got in, which is most of the time illegal endeavors. And because it was a small town, whatever, people did crazy things. And I'm obviously a young girl, very insecure, not really sure of my purpose in the world, not sure of what I want to do really, anxiety and all that stuff. And I think who I surrounded myself with was 100% a reflection of my personal stability and my security in myself. And yeah, like looking back at it, I totally think that's true, especially in college when I started to hang out with people who just had as much drive as me. And when I started feeling better with myself, I hung out with people who really reflected that and uplifted me. So yeah, I totally think that's true. And when you look back, it's kind of like a sad feeling because it's like, why did I hang out with these people? I could have 100% had such a better experience if I never surrounded myself with these types of people. But you know, you learn.
But isn't that, you know, what's the term that foresight is I forget it, but it's like, yeah, if you knew about it, you would never done it. But that's
Right,
because you
yeah.
learned it, you know, and you
Yeah.
couldn't. I mean, I feel the same way about myself. I think mine is slightly different because no matter who I hung out with within my life, it could be people failing other classes, or it could be like the smartest person. My grades and stuff never changed. I always
Same.
did really well in school.
Yeah.
But I do definitely think, especially like the girls that I hung out with and were friends with, was most certainly a reflection of what I thought I lacked within myself. You know, high school, even to like college, like I surrounded myself with like people who tend to be more like the popular girl, and I say popular because maybe they weren't like in the biggest friend group in the school, but everyone liked them. They were really pretty. They had a lot of attention from guys. Like,
Right.
they always were doing really well in that. And I think in high school, maybe there was, like, from my end, like, a sense of jealousy. Like, I wanted to be like that, and I thought if I surrounded myself with people like that, then I would become that.
Yeah.
Or, like, become like them more in that way. And then in college, I still hung out with similar people that way, but I think what changed from that time till college was the lack of, it didn't really matter if you were popular or not in college, because everyone had their own world. But it still, like, stuck with me that if I stuck around these people, even if they, you know, used my time, my money, my kindness, they caused me extra emotional labor, that it was still a better alternative for me than not having them in my life, because I hated myself that much that I thought, like, their friendship would fulfill, like, this void of, like, self-love or, like, importance.
Yeah. Because, I think I'm in the same boat.
Yeah. And I think, too, I felt important because somebody like that liked me, as opposed to just feeling important because I am. And that was a huge lesson that I've learned throughout my friendships in my life. And really, I think retrospectively, in a lot of the ways, those people needed me more, really, than I needed them in terms of benefits from a relationship. And I think I've gotten to a place where I have so much self-love that not only will I not put up with people like that, but I catch it a lot quicker.
Yeah, you see the signs.
I see the signs of it way, way early. But I want to ask you, do you have any friendships that were standout that was a huge monumental time in my self-development and learning to love myself exactly where I am? And if so, who are those people, whether good or bad?
Yeah, so I have like three moments. And the first one being in high school, where I was friends with this one girl, and we were very similar in the sense that we love just the more artistic side of life, reading and writing and doing art. We founded a poetry club actually in high school, me and her, and we loved it and we had so much fun. But the issue started happening when she seemed to be very keen on finding a boyfriend. Very keen. You know, she was eye out for Selena, but it was always an eye out for a guy. And, you know, she would break up with a guy, then we would kind of be really close. I was kind of a fallback to that. And then she would be with another guy, and then, you know, instead of making time for a friendship, she 100% devoted all of her time into her relationship. And that mixed with the fact that I kind of am more of a anxious and somewhat controlling person. I don't like when I feel like, you know, I'm being on standby for something. I like solid plans. I like knowing ahead of time. I like to have control over that. And also, I don't know, maybe I was a controlling friend and I thought that she was hanging out too much with her boyfriend. I do think it was 100% very unhealthy. Her home situation, she didn't have a father figure. Her mom was a chronic dater. She would always have like a new guy that she was seeing. And then I think she kind of just did that because that's what she knows. She thinks she needs to always be dating somebody.
And probably that's, you know, how her mother expressed love was through other people, or the attention and value from other people.
Right.
So now it's directly reflected in the way that she learned it.
Yeah. And then the cherry...
Side note, not interrupt, but that seems to be a common theme that I've noticed, you know, throughout anyone, doesn't matter friend or not, is usually these bad behaviors or habits or whatever it is all stemming from some sort of inner issue within themselves.
No, for sure. And No, she was really cool, and, she was very talented artistically, but the cherry on top for me was we had plans to go to the mall, and her new boyfriend at the time, this boyfriend had a lot of problems, like mentally going through a lot of identity crises and stuff like that, and she kind of took on this role of, I need to be there for him, and it didn't help that this boyfriend was also kind of, oh, I'm gonna kill myself kind of level.
Ugh.
Yeah, and obviously as a friend, I also, that's another thing, is I get too involved in people's lives. So when I see somebody treating my closest friend that poorly, I'm not gonna just be quiet. And that's a good thing and a bad thing. I think in this sense it was more of a bad thing because I was constantly telling her, I was like, you need to stop texting him. That entire time at the mall, she's just writing paragraphs because they're in a scuffle and he's refusing to listen to her or help and stuff, and she's all stressed, and we're walking through stores and she's just on her phone, and it was really frustrating because time and time again I'm being, shut out and also ignored. If you're at the mall with me, why are you constantly texting this boyfriend who clearly is just trying to steal your attention from me? And I didn't like that. Yeah. And so after that I kind of just stopped talking to her. And
I bet she probably didn't even reach out anymore.
No, I actually think she blocked me, which I was like, huh. And yeah, so I don't really know what's going on. And then the other two were my college roommates, my freshman roommates, and into sophomore year. They kind of didn't care much about college in the sense that I did, and they were more about going out and hanging out with really strange crowds that kind of made me uncomfortable, and they also weren't clean. One got really, really into substance abuse. Like, I'm talking like cocaine, acid, and being high on weed all the time. And it was kind of a very triggering environment. I just got out of a really toxic relationship where my ex was also extremely addicted to weed. So being surrounded by behaviors that already made me really uncomfortable, I just wanted to get out of there, and I was so happy to move out. And then I never had good luck with roommates. I had another roommate that she was my closest friend after my breakup. She was kind of my first introduction to my ex. Was very, kind of separated me from my friends. Typical toxic boyfriend, you shouldn't be friends with her because she said this type of thing. But anyways, my first friend after that breakup, she also always needed a boyfriend. And when she got her new boyfriend, she kind of just stayed in her room and played video games with him on Discord. And so then I stopped kind of inviting her to plans because it would always be, sorry, me and him have plans. I'm doing this with him right now. So I kind of just gave up, and then she kind of was like, hey, you don't invite me to things anymore. And I'm like, well, that's because this, and I was being honest, and maybe I shouldn't have stopped inviting her. That's kind of on me. I kind of look back and I'm like, I was kind of mean about it. But I was just so over it. And then I know I said 3, but the last one, that one, I'll save that one for later because it was a very toxic friendship, and that has a lot more segue. But basically, a lot of the reason why I lost friends was because they didn't have the same drive as me, or they were boy crazy, constantly replacing me for their boyfriend. And then when they break up, they come back to me. And it's always, can my boyfriend come? Can my boyfriend come? And their boyfriend makes no conversation and has no skills whatsoever to look at you in the eye, and you're like,
just manually breathing.
Literally NPC, non-playable character that I'm unskippable boyfriend tag-along cutscene. Oh my god.
But, I've dealt with that specific type of friend who like gets in a relationship and I never hear from them again so many times that I get like triggered when like my friends get in relationships. I get like scared. I'm like, oh no, it's happening, because which is not healthy at all. And that's something that like I've understood too, that like my actual friends who care about me wouldn't ditch me anyways. Like people who did that never cared to begin with.
Right.
They were just using you to fill whatever hole they had until the next replacement came in. So I understand that. I think when I look back at my own friendships throughout time, a lot of them did end just because you grow out of friendships. I moved schools, I moved wherever, you grow out of it. There was no big fight. Sometimes things end. But I do remember a very strong pattern of people who, again, people I wanted to be like my very first, like, best friend from childhood, who we stopped talking about, like, probably, I don't know, like, middle school. Super rich, like, loaded family. I remember she always talked to her mom so badly, like, to the point where I was like, oh my god. But she got everything she wanted, and I was like, oh, I want to be like that. And she was mean to everybody but nice to me, so that made me feel special. Looking back on it now, like, she probably really needed therapy and help, which is kind of just sad.
It probably wasn't all sunshine and rainbows.
No, definitely not. And, you know, you look at things through a kid's eyes, and that makes me sad. But I would say the first time I remember a really, really big, like, fallout of a friend was maybe towards end of high school, where there's this one friend I had at the time, and we just got up to a lot of foolish behavior, just doing stupid things, going to unsafe places. And one night, this specific friend had, like, invited a bunch of, like, random men over to, like, her house. They were, like, 30 years old. Like, they were so old. And I was like, I'm not comfortable with these creepos here. And so I, like, lied, and, well, I had a different friend call me, like, faking an emergency or something to, like, get me out of there. And I had asked my friend there, I was like, do you want to come with me? Like, you can come spend the night at my house, blah, blah. She's like, no, I want to stay. And everything was fine. Nothing bad happened to her post after, by the way. I want to make that clear. But she didn't want to come with me. I asked multiple times. Finally, I'm like, okay, I'm leaving. And I leave, and then, so the friend that had faked the phone call for me, we all know each other, and she ended up telling the person that I asked her to fake the phone call for me.
Oh my god.
Yeah. And so obviously my friend who I lied to had gotten really upset with me, which I think is, like, I could go back and forth on what that was really, I should have been honest, for sure. But at the same time, like, if my own safety is at risk, I'm going to do whatever I can to get out of there.
So people pleaser of you. Let me protect her feelings by orchestrating an entire lie.
Yeah. I know, and that's a good point. But I remember I, like, gotten, not only that this one friend was pissed off at me and didn't want to hang out with anymore, which I think is, like, fair, whatever. It's probably for the best, because our friendship was not very healthy. But then the friend who had, like, exposed me for lying, yeah, and, you know, I had talked to her, like, on the phone and stuff for hours, and she was, like, basically calling me, like, some horrible names, like, accusing me of, like, this, and I did this to her, and really, like, I just realized at that point, oh, she fucking hates me. Like, she never liked me, like, at all, and she didn't like that she wasn't invited to see these things, so she was gonna, like, sabotage it in any way she could. And I was like, damn, I really got fucking played. And that put, like, a fucking dent into my approach to relationships, because now I'm, like, undercover. Like, could these people secretly hate me this entire time, and I don't even know it?
It always takes one friendship fallout to affect your trust, affect your and it really sucks, but they're the tools that you gain. Now you know, okay, what could this person's intention be? It kind of sucks because now you kind of have a trust issue problem, but
yeah, I mean, careful. This first of all, like, I lost two friends. It was a twofer.
I know, I was thinking that in my head, but I didn't, it seemed serious, and I didn't want to, like...
No, I mean, like, retrospectively, like, we're high school girls. Like, we do and say stupid things we don't think. And this person who had, like, called and exposed me for, like, lying was upset that they weren't invited and felt left out. That was, like, the stem of where it had, like, came from, which is understandable. And big lesson to learn from all that is be honest. Just be honest. They could have been honest with me that they were feeling left out. I had no idea. Like, I didn't realize that they expected to be invited when they weren't even friends with my other friend, really. Like, close friends, at least.
Yeah.
So it was like that. And then finally graduated, moved out on my own. And, you know, you deal with people come in and out just over the years, people you think are normal. And then after a while, you're like, maybe I shouldn't really, like, hang out with this person. That's normal. But the next, and, like, the only biggest one I've ever had was my college roommate, who we've known each other. We met first day of freshman year. We were moving in at the same time. And we had been friends in a same friend group for years. And so we lived together junior year after I studied abroad. So this is end of junior year through senior year. And she started dating somebody in our friend group.
Oh, no.
At the time. Yeah, which is already bad. And I hate to admit it, but, like, and I did not partake in this, but our, like, friend group in college was people who all hook up with each other. It was really gross and weird. So weird. And she had hooked up with a few people in there. So her starting to date this person, it didn't cause much drama, but somebody else had, like, a crush on her. So it started, like, causing issues, like, on the guys' ends of things, really. But not too much, and they got over it. But when she started dating this guy, oh my god, it went from like I hung out every day all day with her to hardly ever saw her, and when I did, he was there. And honestly, it was fine because we were friends too. He was in my friend group, and you know, it was a little bit annoying, like listening to them bone at night, like when I'm trying to fall asleep. Yeah, it was gross, but she was happy, and I wanted to be happy for her. And they spent more time in his place anyways. But, you know, it was definitely like an isolating factor. You know, this is somebody I relied on a lot, which is also a me problem, right? Maybe I shouldn't put so many eggs in one basket. But at the same time, too, I just had mentally was not doing well, like super depressed. So I think like both of those things happening at the same time, I felt really isolated. But I had other friends, obviously, and I through like that isolation, I think actually grew a lot closer with them, and they're some of my closest friends to this day. But one day my mom was coming in town, and my roommate and her boyfriend had been over, and I had like cleaned and scrubbed on the counters a little bit, and I wanted to finish the rest of the house. And I had woken up the next day, and it was disgusting, like all over the counters. And I was like, hey, like, can you all clean this up? Like, my mom's coming like tomorrow. I want the apartment to be cleaned. And she basically like snapped and be like, I would never ask you to clean the apartment if my parents were coming in. Which is not true, by the way. I literally have text messages of her asking me to clean the apartment because her dad was coming to town.
Right.
But side story, I'm like, I'm not asking you to clean. I'm just asking you not to leave food all over the counter. It's gross. And like your boyfriend, like he can't clean up after himself. Like, what is he, 5 years old? And then she like started like completely like switching it, which is clearly like it probably wasn't even to do with me asking that, but she was like, by the way, like I don't like it that you had let your other friends sleep in my bed while I was out of town, like, or I couldn't even like concentrate and sleep when I was back home because I thought of her sleeping in my bed. I had to ask permission for my friend to sleep in her bed pretty much every single time. It had been like 4 or 5 times. This was the first time that I had not asked permission because it was like 3 a.m. and she was planning on going home but didn't, so I just said, okay, sleep in her bed and I'll like wash the sheets and everything. I'll let her know that happened. And she got so mad about it, and I was like, okay, like she doesn't have to do it anymore, that's totally fine, like I respect that. And I'm like, okay, but can you like still clean the apartment or whatever? Like why are we changing subjects? And literally ever since that huge blow up fight, things like spiraled so bad to the point where she started talking shit about me to every single other person in our friend group, and obviously would get back to me because, well, first she talked shit about every single person in the friend group to me, so it's nobody trusted each other because there was no trust to be had. And so it ended up snowballing, but it was at that time where I really stepped back and started just focusing on the people who were genuine and actually cared about me, and I ended up having a really fun rest of my senior year because I hung out with the people that I cared about and like loved.
To be fair, when I was in a relationship, I kind of was that girl where my boyfriend at the time would always be over. And I think when you get into a relationship and you don't, and I don't know what is going on in her life, but from my perspective, I wasn't secure at all mentally. And so when I am with this person who also is not a healthy person, who is not a good person, that just is an equation for isolation, agitation. I didn't even think about it at the time, but I was so emotionally drained from my ex at all times because he was such a giant baby. He literally was like fucking raising a child. Excuse my French. And I lost all my friends. I wasn't close to anyone. I started doing really bad in school because my boyfriend, was having a moment, so I had to skip this class to coddle him, and it was destroying me. And so a part of me is thinking that she just is giving away way too much of herself.
Oh, I mean, they would have like blow up fights. Like, and like literally I'd be in my room and I hear them screaming at each other. Like they were fighting all the time, and really it came down to, this is no reflection of her or really even him, I think she just cared more about him than he cared about her.
Yeah,
and it was clear by his actions and by her response. Yeah. And so she was constantly looking for a balance within the relationship and took it out on me. It's really... Right. As a friend, I tried my best. I listened to her every single time she had a problem about her boyfriend. I would give her the best advice I could. I would offer her help, anything physically I could, if I could drive her. And it didn't matter because it was never heard, because just she didn't want to listen, or she just was so insecure in herself that she wasn't in a place where she could stand up.
She 100% cared more about her boyfriend and her boyfriend's opinion. Yeah. I was the same way.
Yeah, like, and unfortunately at the same time, it's like I can't be your punching bag. Yeah, because you terrible. Are insecure. Like, right. I'm so sorry.
Well, it's about boundaries and realizing when is it enough. And unfortunately, it's super common to see. I mean, it happened to me after I left that relationship because my boyfriend started accusing me of being a narcissist. Oh my god. Me when I deflect.
Literally.
Anyways.
That's weird.
Yeah,
That's weird.
but he sent me a whole paragraph apologizing for it after I broke up with him, by the way. But anyways, after that, I realized that the roommates at the time, who were also kind of not being the most supportive and also kind of maintaining a very triggering environment for me, and kind of just was seeking help. And then that's when one of my roommates literally hits me with, well, he never did anything bad to me, so I don't know if I can really talk that poorly about him. When I'm not gonna get into details, but he was a horrible human being.
I was about to say, your situation, in my opinion, is different, though, because quite literally, like, extremely abusive. Where maybe my roommates, I mean, they're still together, so it's like...
Oh my god.
Yeah, so that I know of, at least. I haven't been connected with, but last time I talked to one of them, I think they said they were. But I, like, maybe there's, like, an emotional manipulation factor, but it was never, like, obviously never physical, but never to the point where I, like, hate you, blah, blah, blah. It was more just gaslighting vibes, in my opinion, from both sides, probably.
Yeah, just raised toxicity.
Yeah. And really, my roommate had enough time to, you know, talk shit about everybody to me still, talk about this stuff all the time, but didn't have enough time to actually nurture our friendship in any way. To me, said enough about how they perceive relationships in the world. And again, nothing against that person. They're going through their own journey and their own self-help journey. But it became abundantly clear to me, for I think the first time in my life, that, like, I was giving so much time and energy and getting literally nothing in return. And I don't think friendships or relationships should be, I owe you, like, I gave you this, so now you owe me this. But the way that friendships or any relationships work is that you have ebbs and flows, right? There's going to be times in your life where one person is giving more than another because maybe the other person's going through a hard time or they're stressed out. But then eventually it will ebb and flow. Then when vice versa that happens. But when it's constantly for years, one person giving way more, that's not friendship.
No, it's transactional.
Yeah, it's transactional and it's like vampire and it's using people.
I need you for this at this time. And let me use you.
And it became to the point where it was expected. I think my parents probably have a heart attack if they heard this. I probably spent over $500 to $1,000 in, like, gas and driving this person places.
Damn.
And, like, having to get my car, like, worked up, and parking passes, like, probably even more than that if you include parking passes, probably like $5,000. Never got a single cent, really. Maybe once or twice I got gas money. Never. Yeah, it was just... And this person literally, I let her borrow my car and she ran into a pole. She fixed it, but still... Which was, I mean, decent to do, obviously. If she hadn't fixed that, that would have been insane.
Yeah, that would have ended the friendship for me right there.
Immediately, yeah. But, like, I gave so much and it was never any return. And it was actually to the point where, like, the last month or 2 months of senior year, she got a car. And I guess when you add a second heart onto, like, the rent, that person has to pay $150 instead of $100 a month. And she was like, can we split that? I'm like, I've literally been driving you around and paying for this parking lot for 4 years.
Girl.
And you want me to split that when you owe me probably hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars just for driving you? It was the audacity. I could not believe that, like, you would even...
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, it was insane. So let's just say that didn't end well, but with every ending, there's a lesson.
Yes.
What do you think you learned the most about these relationships and friendships that did not work out?
Let it go.
Let it go.
Yeah, I think knowing when to just stop it, knowing when it's not worth the energy anymore, knowing when you're not vibing with this person and it's best to just...
That's fair.
You know, because...
When the train is heading towards the cliff, knowing before you hit the cliff.
Because I'm the same way. When I have a friend, I put in a lot of energy and I don't know. I'm just I love to love in the sense of when I have a friend, I want them to feel at home at my apartment. I want to get them food. I want to get them presents for Christmas.
It's probably a way you express love too.
Yeah, like I feel very protective of my friends, but now I'm at a point in life where it's definitely harder to get to that level. You know, I keep my circle very small because one, I love giving my full attention to people. I don't like the whole I have tons of friends because
it's like quality over quantity.
Right. Yeah. Quality over quantity, because I've also ended friendships in the past where this other person makes no time for me as a friend and will hop sometimes at the same night, be like, well, I'm gonna hang out with this group then, but I have to meet up with this person later. And it's like, okay, good for you, but clearly I care way too much, and I'm okay I'm okay at being at that level. I don't know, I'm just not that type of person that either I have a friend that's very close to me and my circle is really small, or you're more of an acquaintance than anything else. I guess I don't tend to have people in the casual friends department, but that's just because, once again, I have like a really fragile social battery and also I'm at a point where I feel very secure and I'm not in the need to constantly be searching and looking for friends, because I have everything I need right now. Like, I'm happy, I'm secure, I'm happy with the friends, I'm happy what my friends offer me, and vice versa. Not in like a weird transactional way, but in a way where
it feels equal emotionally.
Yeah, I'm not lacking anything. There's no hole, there's no void that needs to be filled right now.
Which is exactly where you want to be, I think. Because as soon as you're looking for people externally, anything to fill a void inside yourself, you're already losing. Yeah,
and looking back at all of my past experiences, 100%, I would constantly be giving energy into something that's already dead. Like, you're like watering a dead plant. You know, I'm just keep giving, expecting a different result, and it just exhausts me, and it causes me to be angry, and it leads to so many negative emotions, when at the end of the day, this person was never on the same wavelength to begin with. You know, this friend wasn't really looking for a friendship that I was looking for. They were looking for
something else.
And so there are times where I hang out with a person and it's a good time, but once I start seeing a bit of red flags that have really damaged me in the past, and maybe right now I'm kind of on the other end of the spectrum here, I think I'm working my way towards the middle, but whenever somebody does anything that kind of reminds me of the friends I've had that I ended up having a falling out with, I kind of start to...
You're like, uh-oh, red flag, I gotta distance myself.
And a big part of that is, once again, I really get annoyed / not really a big fan of friends that are revolving their lives around men. It makes me uncomfortable. And also people who don't ask a lot of questions and they talk about themselves a lot. It needs to be equal. I'd love to hear about your interests, but please let me say something. Or people who are very judgmental, in the sense where they're like, why did you do that? Why would you do that? Shut up.
Yeah, it's like,
oh my God,
they're embarrassed. Yeah, not embarrassing, but they're trying to embarrass you.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. And to me, that just seems like, okay.
Well, that's insecurity.
Yeah, insecurity. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm very, very weary on trying to open up to people who are like that, because it's just not me, and I don't mesh with those people well.
And that's okay. I think you are right. There needs to be a balance, right? Because if you don't ever give people a chance, or you assume the worst in their intentions, then it's never fair to them, and you might miss out on some really amazing friendships and opportunities without doing that. But at the same time, like, let's learn from our past, right? What did we learn exactly? Like, I'm not going to put myself in situations with people who don't bring out the best in me, or don't want the best for me, or do have some sort of, or a lot of work to do. Right. And everyone does at some point.
Yeah, I want to feel uplifted by my friends. I don't want to feel like I have to become a lower version of myself just to fit in.
Yeah,
you know?
I agree.
I hate being in positions where I feel estranged, or I feel awkward and uncomfortable, and that's because a friend put me in that situation where they're like, oh, can this guy come? Can this person come?
Or can we go afraid to share things that should be happy or that you're interested in to that person, because they either may not understand it, or might ridicule you for it, or
judge and stuff like that,
or maybe tell you like not to do it, like whatever it is, and that's not healthy either, to have that within a relationship.
I agree. I think there's just so many factors that come. It really depends on how you are as a person and what you want in your friendships, you know, and
defining expectations, if you will.
And setting boundaries,
and of course that's the most important part. And also, like, boundaries are healthy to set. If you don't set them, then you might actually end up resenting that person for a long time, until like you explode, versus you can actually maintain them in your life because you're putting healthy boundaries down. I think the biggest thing I've learned within my experience with friendship is that I am enough the way I am. I think I felt for a really long time that I owed people for them wanting to be my friend. Like, they're friends, so I need to drive them places because I
It's
have
a
to be a good
privilege.
friend. It's a privilege that I get
Yeah.
to be friends with this person, or they did this one nice thing for me, so I have to do it back because I don't want them to think I'm using them, blah blah blah. And feeling like I owe that love or friendship is transactional in a way, because either it has been shown to me in the past that through friends or family, whoever it is, that if I don't do this, then I'm not worthy enough to be in your life. And I've gotten to the point where it's like, oh, actually being friends with me or having me in your life is a privilege for that person. Not in like a narcissistic way, but my friendship is enough. I don't owe them anything extra. The same way that I don't expect them to owe me anything extra.
Right. There's a very fine line between being very controlling, and as someone who has been a controlling friend in the past and very judgmental, yeah, that's how you lose friends, is when you're very overbearing and very it's hard to be perfect in situation, you know, like it's tricky because it's a two-way street and it's all about communication and boundaries at the end of it. What I really value in friendship is if a friend comes up to me and is like, hey, I know you made this joke, but can we not joke about that, or can we not talk about this topic because of this, and I'm not that comfortable, and stuff like that, where it's being respected and you're communicating. That for me is way better than something on a shallower end where I don't know, I want the street to be two-way, you know.
And also I would hope, you know, in friendships that I would feel one comfortable enough discussing something with somebody, but also vice versa. You know, if you don't feel comfortable enough, is that because this friendship is unhealthy, or is it something inside yourself that you need to resolve that's more internal with like self-worth, if that makes sense?
And that's why therapy is so important.
Oh my god, yeah.
Just talking to people.
I think especially therapists though, because it's an unbiased person. You know, you don't want to talk to your friend. Obviously, yes, talk to your friends about stuff, but don't necessarily look to get the most unbiased advice from your friends, because most of the time they're gonna
be biased
because they care about you and they're on your side and they see the world the way you do, likely. So that's why having a third party is really important. And really, because the more that you're able to understand yourself and understand how you approach relationships and why that is and what led up to that, you're able to cultivate healthier ones in the future, because you can understand how to approach it, but also understand and know how you want to be treated as well, vice versa. And this is friendships and relationships. But I did write down a few what I would perceive as different types of red flags in friendships. Okay. So I'm curious to hear your thoughts on these. So the first one I wrote, and we talked about this a little bit, friends who centralize men. These are the friends who make fun of you when other guys are in the room. These are the friends who ditch you the first chance they have to go hang out with the guy, whether you're going out for the night together and they go home with somebody every single time.
Oh, it hurts.
Or, how do you feel about that? Do you agree? Do you disagree?
100% agree. Once again, that was the reason why I lost so many friends. And also, I was on the other end of that.
And where do you think the line is between friends who centralize like men within their life and friends who just they're looking for a relationship? They want to have like a unity with somebody and have a healthy relationship.
I think that's tricky because dating right now is very quick and very fast paced and very casual by default.
Thanks, dating apps.
Yeah, exactly. And so when people kind of get into that, I think there's a lot of excitement and expectations, and they kind of get really absorbed into it. So I think
it's important to let them have that excitement.
Yeah,
like,
have
my honeymoon page, you know? Yeah.
Let them have that moment, but then it's something that you see happening a lot. I personally would be like, hey, why are we checking this app more than you're checking, I don't know, your text messages from your parent? Like, you know what I mean? Like, why is your screen time?
Yeah, it's like everything in moderation, which I feel like
just making sure. And if it's becoming a lot and very unlike how they are, then maybe it's safe to say something easily, like, hey, like lately I feel like you're putting this friendship on the back burner because you're really involved in dating right now, which is fine, but can we make plans a week in advance? Can we have a set date to hang out, you know?
And where we have quality hanging out. It's all about putting, you know, your coins in that like emotional piggy bank, you know?
Right.
When you gotta upkeep your relationships, or else
Right.
people are gonna feel resentful.
But once the ditching occurs and the quick last minute, hey, this this guy is meeting us up at this bar, or this guy is joining us, then I'm gonna start to get a little bit annoyed because
yeah, I've had friends too who have literally been like, come out with me, like let's go here, and we go, and the reason why they wanted to go there is because they knew that a guy was gonna be there and they just didn't want to go alone.
Oh,
that's the worst. And
yeah.
That's happened to me multiple times.
Oh, that sucks.
Like, you're evil. You're evil.
Being on the end of that, being on it's kind of like you're the butt of the joke, you know? You're
I feel like not only third wheel, but like just a little purse that you're carrying around to like
here's my prop.
Yeah.
Here's my prop, so I'm not lonely
instead of a real
looking.
human being. Like, you never cared about me at all. You just didn't want to go alone.
Yeah, and that right there is scummy. And I think that's...
Yeah, it's evil behavior.
Not a friend. No. Just a person that is using you as a stepping stool to get something they want, in my opinion. And maybe that's a little bit bitchy of me to say, but I'm so fed up with people like that I'm just, whenever I see it, I'm just like, okay, do your thing, have your moment. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to be involved in it.
If that happened to me like today, I would just get up and leave.
Yeah, honestly.
To be honest, I'd be like, screw you.
Yeah, I would leave, give them the same treatment of bye.
All right, next one on the list I had is friends who only talk about themselves. You know everything about them, but they don't know anything about you because they don't care about you. And, or they do ask you questions, but they don't actually remember any of your answers because they're not asking to genuinely get to know you. They're asking because societally acceptable to ask.
Or they ask you a question and they're planning on answering their own question
which is why they're asking you.
Yeah,
that was a good one. Or the only things they do remember about your responses is one, if it involves them in any way.
Yeah.
Or two, if it's enough good intel that they can like put in the back burner for later.
The term for that is called conversational narcissist. I think I think I learned about that. I read up on it because
I've had a lot of these in my life. Oh my god.
Where a great example would be Jennifer Coolidge's character in White Lotus, where people are talking to her and she just like, I wonder, and she just goes back to her thoughts where she's not really
listening to what you're saying.
Yeah, she just wants to yap. And there's a difference between being a very talkative friend and then you're hanging out with a quiet friend and the quiet friend is happy to listen. Like for example, Jordan, little mouse, quietest little mouse in the
it's hard to tell if on this podcast he'd be opening his mouth,
literally,
firing
but
off
trust
a gun.
Me, when me, Caroline, and Jordan are having lunch, it's just me and Caroline talking, and then Jordan is just like listening, and he's content with it.
Yeah, and I like to say we do make a point to pause and be like,
yeah,
anything
at all, anything up there,
anything up there. But he's content to listen. And when I feel like when I talk with just him, like if we just me and him just get lunch.
Oh yeah, no, he picks up the.
He'll talk the entire time.
Yeah, so yeah, there's a difference in that and somebody talking at you, like literally just talking at you. And then,
I get those a lot. They love me. I think it's because I'm a good listener, I've been told.
Yeah. You're a listener and you probably remember what they say. And that just tracks them even more because they're like, wow, this
I've been heard.
Yeah.
I've been heard. I'm like a breathing ear to these people.
Yeah. I tend to back away from people like that too, just because I just don't like feeling like a prop.
I think reasons why I put up with people like that a lot in my life is because I wanted to feel like a good friend, right? Like I'm being an empathetic listener, like I understand your problems. Like I couldn't just tell them to shut up and not say these things that like are bothering them until you realize they're literally talking about nothing all the time.
Yeah.
Or they start repeating their stories because they don't even remember telling you because it never even that pisses me off so much. It's like you care about me that little that you're gonna retell the same story you've told me multiple times because you don't even care.
I have so many people
that you told me this. That really bothers me to the point where I'm like it's okay if it happens like once.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you forget, right?
Whenever I do tell a story, I always preface going, please stop me if I've told you this before. I always say that because it is a biggest pet peeve of mine where I have to another unskippable cutscene. It's an unskippable cutscene. It's a Nintendo game. They don't want you to speedrun it. So
I start finishing their story for them.
Really?
Yeah. I'll just be like,
honestly,
and then
I might do that.
I'd be like, oh, yeah, right. Anyways, I got 2 left on the list, so I'll do this quickly.
Okay.
The first one left is shit talks everybody. Now, it's different if you have a few ops. We all have a few ops.
Yeah.
There's a few people, if I see on the street and they do something, best believe I'm going to be messaging Iza about it. But every single person they have a problem with, it's because they're the problem. Case in point.
Yeah, I think people tend to mistake shit talking to gossiping. And
also, I think it's healthy to have a conversation, trying to get your thoughts out with other people.
Perspective, yeah.
Perspective.
Yeah.
But again, there is a difference. Shit talking is you're purposely trying to get other people to dislike that person and agree with you.
Yeah, and honestly, I kind of am guilty of this in the past.
Same. Same, yeah.
I mean, there are so many times where I feel like there's an injustice happening, and I have to let people know. And is that because I have a victim mentality? Maybe. I don't know.
I mean, it's something to consider, right? Like,
right.
I'm not saying you do or not, but it's never a bad thing to consider. Like, where can I improve in my
I definitely think it's a red flag. I think...
I think it's one thing, too, if people are shit-talking you and you're giving your perspective on the situation. Yeah. I don't think that's shit-talking. But it's like, you have a problem with every single person. That's when I'm like, maybe you're the problem, girl. Yeah. You're the common denominator.
There are times where I'll kind of introduce a problem that I have with somebody to my boyfriend Will, because once again, he's Mr. Devil's Advocate and he's very level-headed and gives me great perspective. And sometimes I just need somebody to tell me, hey, I think you're overreacting. Mm-hmm. My sister also is a great person to talk to about that, because sometimes, I'm a very emotional person. So sometimes when I feel like I was wronged, I'm feeling wrath. So before anything happens, I guess complain about it, and I'm like, am I overreacting here? And then usually I have someone like Will or my sister be like, yeah, you're doing too much. And then I'm just like, okay. And that helps me kind of realize I have a lot of biases that I'm unaware of, and also maybe I am too judgmental, which is an issue. Once again, European family, Polish family, it's bound to happen.
But the best thing you can do is be self-aware of where you need to improve. Yeah. You beat most of the battle. Most people are not self-aware, and that's why they continue with behaviors that are unhealthy. They have no idea that what they're doing is a direct result of needed therapy and needed things to work through. Needed perspective. But I think shit talking 100% is a red flag, especially if it's to stir things up and not. Also, if they're talking about everybody, best believe they're talking about you. Mm-hmm. And if you don't believe that, I'm telling you right now, they are, without a doubt. Yeah. Without a doubt. And I talk shit. I've had people talk shit about me. It doesn't feel great, No, it feels awful. And if you don't want anyone to do it to you, don't do it to them. Yeah, exactly. It's the golden rule, baby. It's the golden rule, baby. Golden. All right, and then last one. This might be more biased, just on my experience, but the friend who always needs a dang ride can never get to where they're going without you driving them, or they always need a favor, always need something from you because they're just using you. I think that's a little bit based on trauma. But I think it's true. It's one thing to be like... Well, I think maybe not just brides. No, that was the title, but always needs something from you. Always needs a favor. Always needs hey. Yeah. Obviously the ride's the easy one because it could be hey, can you drop me off here? And pick me up, do you mind? Yeah. That's one thing, and I'm happy to do it for my friends. But when it's an expectation, then it's okay. Or hey, can you grab this on your way home? Start small because they're testing the waters of how much I was gonna say they're constantly pushing a boundary. And we constantly be pushed over time. Yeah. And then next thing you know, you're literally their servant. Yeah, no, I think so. Yeah, that's very annoying. And I'm happy to do things for my friends. I don't like them feeling like it's expected. That's the point that I think that I was probably trying to get. Yeah. Where it gets to the point where they expect you to do what they want, and if they get mad if you don't because you've said yes so many times, and once you put up a boundary, they're like, what the F? What's your problem? Were you mad at me or something? Right. Yeah. I'm watching my coworker's dog later today. My coworker, he's so nice, and he's so, are you sure? I don't want to drop her off too late. And what I really love about that is that it's not because I've watched this cute little whippet numerous times. Yeah. I've seen this little thing go from a little puppy, and now she's getting big. She's getting real big. She gets that snout's getting so long she could smell farther and farther away every day. What am I doing for you? You know that meme with the... Okay, never mind. I'll put the sound in there. Put it in there. But what I really like about that is that obviously it's a favor to watch the dog, but it's not expected you just to say yes every time. It's not expected, and he has made it very clear that I am more than welcome to watch the dog. It's kind of I get to watch a dog. Whenever I watch the dog, I put on my doggy phone case because I love dogs so much. So, and that's somebody who's respectful of people's boundaries, though. And that's boundaries and time. Yeah, and I like that a lot because it's obviously a privilege to have these favors, and it's not being overstepped, and it's being asked way in advance, and it's not
I need a ride. No, you don't need a ride. You want a ride.
Yeah.
Get an Uber. But
Yeah.
if it was a friend going, hey, can you give me a ride on this date? I can pay for gas or coffee or anything like that. The thought of them thinking ahead of time and being very courageous about it, somebody just thinks for you.
Yeah.
You know, I always like to be asked. I don't like the idea that
But even it's like if it's asked, but it's asked in a way where it's like,
you're trapped and you have to do it anyway.
yeah.
Yeah,
like,
that too. That's testing the waters.
Yeah, and it's just about overstepping boundaries
Yep.
again, which is why it's so important to keep them up
Constantly.
and to keep
Yep.
them there. Well, since we're approaching an hour here, I thought it'd be fun if we finish up with Iza pulling a tarot card to be like the energy of our friendship, you know?
And advice overall on friendships, I think, maybe.
Yeah, so how about one card for our friendship and then one card for like
The key takeaway here.
the key takeaway here. Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
And you know, I've known Iza for over a year now.
Oh.
Wow, I does not even feel like that long. That's
I
crazy.
know. I feel like we've only known each other for months.
I know. But like, I don't know if it's a good or bad. Like, I feel like it's a good thing.
I think it's a good thing.
By, but
Well, I feel like it naturally grew into a pretty solid
friendship. It wasn't like
yeah.
a rushed friendship, which I think all my longest friendships are friendships that weren't like.
Yeah, it went from extremely like almost like a love bombed relationship.
Yeah, like literally love bombing.
Yeah, and I had a friendship like that in college, and she got really weird about it. Okay, so I pulled out 2 cards. So I got 9 of Pentacles and the World. So let me skim over both, just because I don't want to pick and choose. But 9 of Pentacles was on top.
I feel like 9 of Pentacles, low key, could be like our vibe. I don't know.
Maybe.
Because we're doing a podcast together and we're coworkers, but also like
Right.
there's like a
Kinda
fulfillment aspect there with 9.
Yeah.
Grounded. Pentacles are really grounded.
This card tends to appear when you have been working hard, and it reminds us to savor time away from our labors. The peregrine falcon, which that's what the card looks like, by the way, is a symbol of travel. The word peregrine comes from Latin peregrinus, meaning traveler, okay? The bird is associated with a number of roaming deities. The Norse god Freya wore a cloak of falcon feathers as she travels between worlds. So maybe we're kind of traveling the world as friends.
Maybe we're going to be so famous, we're going to travel the world together.
Treat yourself, relax, enjoy the fruits of your labor. So maybe, you know, we're working on this friendship, we're working hard on it, and
I feel like this is also a reminder, like, yeah, we're doing, because a lot of our encounters involve a work setting because of actual work, but also podcasts. That's a reminder to take time just to like enjoy each other's companies as friends and not friends and coworkers.
Right. And that kind of segues great into the World, where it's a long journey has come to an end. You have skillfully handled the ups and downs, and you are ready for whatever comes next. And maybe that's navigating friendships. Maybe it was that conversation that we just had where we're kind of like, we kind of had a vent session on a lot of things that bother us. And I think maybe, I don't know about you, but I kind of feel lighter.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like I aired out a lot of stuff that has been bothering me.
Same.
So,
and the World is like the most favorable card in tarot. And I feel like I say that every time, but that literally is the most favorable.
Well, the World means like completeness. You know?
It means that you completed whatever lesson you needed from something.
Right.
And now you're able to not only grow, but to like transfer and to invite new opportunity because you did what you needed to do and you came here
we learned, we came, and now we can use that knowledge and
to expand even more.
And expand. 9 of Pentacles, enjoy the fruits of our labor.
Till we're big as the world.
Okay, so now I'm doing a reading.
I'm more like Jupiter, you know.
Jupiter?
Yeah, or Saturn. Because I got those rings.
The 2 hugest planets.
Oh.
Sorry.
Don't forget about little old Neptune, baby. Or Uranus.
3 of Cups.
Aww.
For our 5 trillion viewers.
That's for y'all.
That's more people in the world, by the way. That's insane.
Yeah, I mean...
I have a lot of money.
Oh. Why'd you make me pay for coffee this morning?
Girl! I didn't pay for your $8 coffee with the cold foam and drizzle on top.
Okay, you don't need to...
Yeah.
See, they really are going to think I'm a manatee.
We're both manatees. That's not what they make. They're more of like walruses. Yeah.
Like that?
Yeah.
Man, that's like a donkey. What's a manatee sound like?
Like a walrus. I think they bark. They've got like the walrus snout. Yeah.
I don't know. I think I'm just making
I
love seals.
Oh, seals. Yeah, those are cute.
Or
When they hop around. Oh. Okay. 3 of Cups. A time of happiness and celebration is around the corner. Reach out to your friends and loved ones and relish the community you have built. Authentic connection with others is a mysterious gift to be treasured. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
This card
That's what I'm saying. When that came out, I was like, that's literally perfect.
Yeah, this is a perfect card, really, because we're, we just discussed it.
Celebrating your friendships and the people you love.
Calling your friends.
Are authentic.
Texting your friends. Make sure that you tell them that you appreciate them. Maybe go and get some coffee. Maybe, have a good tea sesh.
I want y'all, whoever's listening, to add a little bit of money in your emotional piggy bank, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And give somebody a call you haven't talked to that you love.
Yeah.
Shoot them a text. Let them know that you care.
Yeah.
All right. And on that note, thank you guys so much for joining us for this episode. You can follow us at Coworker Calamity on both Instagram and TikTok and YouTube and Apple Music and Spotify and Amazon Music and pretty much anywhere at this point. Because we're so big, we have to be on every platform.
Yeah,
so
they've asked us.
Yeah.
We have contracts with all.
Yeah, we're actually the face of Apple. I am an Apple product. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.